What's happening, Joe, with the tape?
We're going to run the tape here in 1 minute.
Is it going to be running for like pre-show music? Is that the deal?
Yeah.
We're not ready to open the house yet.
Okay.
Talk a little, Don.
Hello. Well, as soon as we possibly can, as soon as we get this video thing taken care of, we will open the house.
Okay, as soon as we get...
Here's like all these images of Allen Ginsberg and that from all the world's media. And I'm wondering like how you find Allen and how you in
there is none. Naturally. All the constituents of being are transitory. According to Heraclitus, you can't step in the same Allen twice. Can't step in the same river twice. So the question is, what is one's identity? What is one's fixed identity? I'm a Jew. I'm Jewish. I'm a Buddhist. I'm a poet. I'm gay. I'm from New Jersey. I'm a student of Williams. I was a friend of Caroline. My father born me in England. My mother was crazy in England. I went to Columbia. So I'm Colombian alumnus. Or I'm American. Or I'm a New Yorker. Or a Lower East Sider. Or I'm a Nephew. Or a planetarian. So which is real? Whether all art aspects or whatever you is or whatever you is. In other words, everybody has their own myriad labels, myriad identities. And there is no need to fixate on any single one, except the one that you're working with most, so I would say forward.
Thanks for coming tonight. Allen Ginsberg was, like Walt Whitman, a great American visionary poet. And tonight you're going to witness an electrifying performance by McCarthy Coyle in 3 form of his greatest and most famous visionary poem, Howl. His friend and mentor, William Burroughs, the grandfather of the Beats, said, Allen gnawed a hole in the lie. His was the howl heard round the world, from Mexico City to Peking, the howl of distorted, suffocating youth. Allen's worldwide influence was unprecedented. He, with the courage of his total sincerity, charmed and disarmed the savage fraternity beasts. Allen Ginsberg very much saw himself as a visionary. He said in his poem Rocket, Old moon, my eyes are new moon with human footprint. Tonight, Bill and Chris and I are going to try and give you some sense of the range of Ginsberg's work. We're going to read a handful of poems that range from the tender to the goofy to the brutally honest. So we will begin now.
Song, San Jose, 1954. The weight of the world
is love.
Under the burden
of solitude.
Under the burden
of dissatisfaction.
The weight
we carry
is love. Who can deny?
In dreams,
it touches
the body.
In thought,
constructs
a miracle.
In imagination,
anguishes.
Till born in human,
looks out of the heart.
Burning with purity.
For the burden of life
is love.
But we carry the weight
wearily,
and so must rest
in the arms of love.
At last,
must rest
in the arms
of love.
No rest
without love,
no sleep
without dreams
of love.
Be mad or chill,
obsessed with angels
or machines.
The final wish
is love.
Cannot be bitter,
cannot deny,
cannot withhold.
If denied,
the weight is too heavy.
Must give,
for no return,
as thought
is given
in solitude,
in all the excellence
of its excess.
The warm bodies
shine together
in the darkness.
The hand moves
to the center
of the flesh.
the skin trembles,
in happiness,
and the soul comes.
joyful to the eyes.
Yes, yes,
That's what
I wanted.
I always wanted,
I always wanted
to return
to the body,
where I was born,
to return
to the body.
where I was born.
The Lion for Real, Paris, March 1958. I came home and found a lion in my living room. Rushed out on the fire escape, screaming, "Lion! Lion!" Two stenographers pulled their brunette hair and banged the window shut. I hurried home to Patterson and stayed 2 days. Called up my own Reichian analyst who'd kicked me out of therapy for smoking marijuana. "It's happened," I panted. "There's a lion in my room." "I'm afraid any discussion would have no value," he hung up. I went to my old boyfriend. We got drunk with his girlfriend. I kissed him and announced I had a lion with a mad gleam in my eye. We wound up fighting on the floor. I bit his eyebrow and he kicked me out. I ended masturbating in his Jeep parked in the street moaning, "Lion." Found Joey, my novelist friend, and roared at him, "Lion!" He looked at me, interested, and read me his spontaneous Ignu high poetries. I listened for lions. All I heard was elephant, tiguan, hippogriff, unicorn, ants. But figured he really understood me when we made it in Ignaz Wisdom's bathroom. But next day, he sent me a leaf from his Smoky Mountain retreat. "I love you, little Bobo, with your delicate golden lions, but there being no self and no bars, therefore the zoo of your dear father hath no lion. You said your mother was mad. Don't expect me to produce the monster for your bridegroom." Confused, dazed, and exalted, bethought me of real lions starved in his stinking Harlem. Opened the door. The room was filled with the bomb blast of his anger. He roaring hungrily at the plaster walls, but nobody could hear him outside through the window. My eye caught the edge of the red neighbor apartment building, standing in deafening stillness. We gazed at each other, his implacable yellow eye in the red halo of fur waxed woomy on my own. But he stopped roaring and bared a fanged greeting. I turned my back and cooked broccoli for supper on an iron gas stove, boiled water, and took a hot bath in the old tub under the sink board. He didn't eat me, though I regretted him starving in my presence. Next week, he wasted away, a sick rug full of bones, wheaten hair falling out, enraged and reddening eye as he lay, aching, huge, hairy head on his paws by the egg crate bookcase filled up with thin volumes of Plato and Buddha. Sat by his side every night, averting my eyes from his hungry, moth-eaten face. Stopped eating myself, he got weaker, and roared at night while I had nightmares. Eaten by lion in bookstore on Cosmic Campus. A lion myself, starved by Professor Kandinsky, dying in a lion's flophouse circus. I woke up mornings, the lion still added, dying on the floor. "Terrible presence," I cried. "Eat me or die." It got up that afternoon, walked to the door with its paw on the wall to steady its trembling body. Let out a soul-rending creak from the bottomless roof of his mouth, thundering from my floor to heaven, heavier than a volcano at night in Mexico. Pushed the door open and said in a gravelly voice, "Not this time, baby, but I will be back again." Lion that eats my mind now for a decade, knowing only your hunger, not the bliss of your satisfaction. Oh, roar of the universe, how am I chosen in this life? I have heard your promise. I am ready to die. I have served your starved and ancient presence, O Lord. I wait in my room at your mercy.
Sunflower Sutra, Berkeley, 1955. I walked on the banks of the Tin Can Banana Dock and sat down under the huge shade of a Southern Pacific locomotive to look at the sunset over the Box House Hills and cry. Jack Kerouac sat beside me on a busted, rusty iron pole companion. We thought the same thoughts of the soul, bleak and blue and sad-eyed, surrounded by the gnarled steel roots of trees of machinery. The oily water on the river mirrored the red sky. Sun sank on top of final Frisco peaks. No fish in that stream, no hermit in these mounts, just ourselves, roomy-eyed and hungover, like old bums on the riverbank, tired and wily. Look at the sunflower, he said. There was a dead gray shadow against the sky, big as a man, sitting dry on top of a pile of ancient sawdust. I rushed up and chanted. It was my first sunflower, memories of Blake, my vision, Harlem, and hells of the eastern rivers, bridges clanking, Joe's greasy sandwiches, dead baby carriages, black treadless tires forgotten and unretreaded, the poem of the riverbank, condoms and pots, steel knives, nothing stainless, only the dank muck and the razor-sharp artifacts passing into the past. And the gray sunflower poised against the sunset, crackly, bleak and dusty with the smut and smog and smoke of olden locomotives in its eye. Corolla of bleary spikes, pushed down and broken like a battered crown, seeds fallen out of its face, soon to be toothless mouth of sunny air, sun rays obliterated on its hairy head like a dried wire spider web. Leaves stuck out like arms out of the stem, gestures from the sawdust root, broke pieces of plaster falling out of the black twigs, a dead fly in its ear. Unholy, hammer-battered, old thing you were, my sunflower, oh my soul, I loved you then. The grime was no man's grime, but death and human locomotives. All that dress of dust, that veil of darkened railroad skin, that smog of cheek, that eyelid of black misery, that sooty hand or phallus or protuberance of artificial worse than dirt, industrial, modern, all that at civilization sporting your crazy golden crown. And those blear thoughts of death, and dusty, loveless eyes, and ends and withered roots below, in the home pile of sand and sawdust, rubber dollar bills, skin of machinery, the guts and innards of the weeping, coughing car, the empty, lonely tin cans with their rusty tongues alack. What more could I name? The smoked ashes of some cock cigar, the cunts of wheelbarrows and the milky breasts of cars, worn-out asses out of chairs and sphincters of dynamos, all these entangled in your mummied roots, and you there standing before me in the sunset, all your glory in your form. A perfect beauty of a sunflower, a perfect, excellent, lovely sunflower existence. A sweet, natural eye to the new, hip moon, woke up alive and excited, grasping in the summer shadow sunrise golden monthly breeze. How many flies buzzed round you, innocent of your grime, while you cursed the heavens of the railroad and your flower soul. Poor dead flower, when did you forget you were a flower? When did you look at your skin and decide you were an impotent, dirty old locomotive, the ghost of a locomotive, the specter and shade of a once powerful, mad American locomotive. You were never no locomotive, sunflower. You were a sunflower. And you, locomotive, you are a locomotive. Forget me not. So I grabbed up the skeleton thick sunflower and stuck it at my side like a scepter, and deliver my sermon to my soul and Jack's soul too, and anyone who'll listen. We're not our skin of grime. We're not our dread, bleak, dusty, imageless locomotive. We're all golden sunflowers inside, blessed by our own seed and hairy, naked accomplishment bodies, growing into mad, black, formal sunflowers in the sunset, spied on by our eyes under the shadow of the mad locomotive, riverbank, sunset, Frisco, hilly, tin can evening, sit-down vision.
Pop lyrics from the early 50s. When I think of death, I get a goofy feeling. Then I catch my breath. Zero isn't healing. Appearances are hazy. Smart went crazy. Smart went crazy. A flower in my head has fallen through my eye. Someday I'll be dead. I love the Lord on high. I wish he'd pull my daisy. Smart went crazy. Smart went crazy. I asked the lady, what's a rose? She kicked me out of bed. I asked the man, and so it goes, he hit me on the head. Nobody knows. Nobody knows, at least nobody said. That time I went to China to lead the Boy Scout troops. They sank my ocean liner. All I said was, oops. The doctors think I'm crazy. Truth is, I'm just lazy. I made visions to beguile them till they put me in the asylum. I'm a pot, and God is a potter. And my head is a piece of putty. Arc my darkness, lark my looks. Well, I'm so lucky to be nutty. When I think of death, I get a funny feeling. Then I catch my breath. Zero is appealing. Appearances are hazy. Smart went crazy. Smart went crazy. Smart went crazy.
This one's called Xmas Gift, dated December 24th, 1972, New York City. I met Einstein in a dream. Springtime on Princeton lawn grass, I kneeled down and kissed his young thumb like a ruddy pope. His face fresh, broad-cheeked, rosy. I invented a universe separate, something like a virgin. Yes, the creature gives birth to itself, I quoted from Mescaline. We sat down, open air, universal summer, to eat lunch Professors' wives at the tennis court club are meeting eternal as expected. My gesture to kiss his fist, unexpectedly saintly, considering the atom bomb I didn't mention.
Cabin in the Rockies, Boulder, Colorado, September 16th, 1975. 1. Sitting on a tree stump with half a cup of tea, sun down behind mountains. Nothing to do. Not a word, not a word. Flies do all my talking for me, and the wind says something else. Fly on my nose. I'm not the Buddha. There's no enlightenment here. Against red bark trunk, a fly's shadow lights on the shadow of a pine bough. An hour after dawn, I haven't thought of Buddha once yet, walking back into the retreat house. 2. Walking into the King Super after 2-week retreat. A thin, red-faced, pimpled boy stands alone, minutes, looking down into the ice cream bin.
The final poem we'll read today, Ginsberg wrote down after ingesting a sacred Peruvian substance. The end. I, old Father Fish-Eye that begat the ocean, the worm at my own ear, the serpent turning around a tree. I sit in the mine of the oak and hide in the rose. I know if any wake up, none but my death. Come to me, bodies, come to me, prophecies, come all foreboding, come spirits and visions. I receive all. I'll die of cancer. I enter the coffin forever. I close my eye. I disappear. I fall on myself in winter snow. I roll in a great wheel through rain. I watch fuckers in convulsions. Cars screech, furies groaning their basso music, memory fading in the brain, men imitating dogs. I delight in a woman's belly, youth stretching his breasts and thighs to sex, the cock sprung inward, gassing its seed on the lips of yin. The beasts dance in Siam. They sing opera in Moscow. My boys yearn at dusk on stoops. I enter New York. I play my jazz on a Chicago harpsichord. Love that bore me, I bear back to my origin with no loss. I float over the vomiter, thrilled with my deathlessness, thrilled with this endlessness. I dice and bury. Come, poet, shut up, eat my word, and taste my mouth in your ear. Thank you very much.
I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness, starving, hysterical, naked, dragging themselves through the Negro streets at dawn, looking for an angry fix. Angel-headed hipsters burning for the ancient heavenly connection in the starry dynamo, in the machinery of night. Who, poverty and tatters and hollow-eyed and high, sat up smoking in the supernatural darkness of cold water flats, floating across the tops of cities, contemplating jazz. Who bared their brains to heaven under the L and saw Mohammedan angels staggering under tenement roofs illuminated. Who passed through universities with radiant cool eyes, hallucinating Arkansas and Blake Light tragedy among the scholars of war. Who were expelled from the academies for crazy and publishing obscene odes on the windows of the skull. Who cowered in unshaven rooms and underwear, burning their money in wastebaskets and listening to the terror through the wall. Who got busted in their pubic beards, returning through Laredo with a belt of marijuana for New York. Who ate fire in paint hotels or drank turpentine in Paradise Alley, death or purgatory their torsos night after night. With dreams, with drugs, with waking nightmares, alcohol and cock and endless balls. Incomparable blind streets of shuddering cloud and lightning in the mind, leaping toward poles of Canada and Patterson, illuminating all the motionless world of time between. Peyote solidities of halls, backyard green tree cemetery dawns, wine drunkenness over the rooftops, storefront burrows of tea-head joyride, neon blinking traffic light, sun and moon and tree vibrations in the roaring winter dusks of Brooklyn, ash can rantings, and kind king light of mind. Who chained themselves to subways for the endless ride from Battery to Holy Bronx on Benzedrine, until the noise of wheels and children brought them down, shuddering, mouth-racked and battered, bleak of brain, all drained of brilliance in the drear light of zoo. Who sank all night in submarine light of Bickfords, floated out and sat through the stale beer afternoon in desolate Bugazis, listening for the crack of doom on the hydrogen jukebox. Who talked continuously 72 hours from park to pad to bar to Bellevue to museum to the Brooklyn Bridge. A lost battalion of platonic conversationalists jumping down the stoops, off fire escapes, off windowsills, off Empire State, out of the moon! Yakety-yakking, screaming, vomiting, whispering facts and memories and anecdotes and eyeball kicks and shots of hospitals and jails and wars. Whole intellects disgorged in total recall for 7 days and nights with brilliant eyes, meet for the synagogue cast on the pavement. Who vanished into nowhere, Zen, New Jersey. leaving a trail of ambiguous picture postcards of Atlantic City Hall, suffering eastern sweats, and Tangerian bone grindings, and migraines of China under junk withdrawal in Newark's bleak furnished room. Who wandered around and around at midnight in the railroad yard, wondering where to go, and went, leaving no broken hearts. Who lit cigarettes in boxcars, racketing through snow toward Lonesome Farm in grandfather night. Who studied Plotinus, Poe, St. John of the Cross, telepathy and Kabbalah, because the cosmos instinctively vibrated at their feet in Kansas. Who loaned it through the streets of Idaho, seeking visionary Indian angels, who were visionary Indian angels. Who thought they were only mad when Baltimore gleamed in supernatural ecstasy. Who jumped in limousines with the Chinamen of Oklahoma. On the impulse of winter midnight streetlight, small town rain. Who lounged hungry and lonesome through Houston, seeking jazz, or sex, or soup, and followed the brilliant Spaniard to converse about America and eternity, a hopeless task, and so took ship to Africa. Who disappeared into the volcanoes of Mexico, leaving behind nothing but the shadow of dungarees and the lava and ash of Who disappeared into the volcanoes of Mexico, leaving behind nothing but the shadow of dungarees and the lava and ash of poetry scattered in fireplace Chicago. Who reappeared on the West Coast, investigating the FBI in beards and shorts with big pacifist eyes, sexy in their dark skin, passing out incomprehensible leaflets. Who burned cigarette holes in their arms, protesting the narcotic tobacco haze of capitalism. Who distributed super communist pamphlets in Union Square, weeping and undressing while the sirens of Los Alamos wailed them down and wailed down the wall. And the Staten Island ferry also wailed. Who broke down crying in white gymnasiums, naked and trembling before the machinery of other skeletons. Who bit detectives in the neck and shrieked with delight in police cars for committing no crime but their own wild cooking pederasty and intoxication. Who howled on their knees in the subway and were dragged off the route waving genitals and manuscripts. Who let themselves be fucked in the ass by saintly motorcyclists and screamed with joy. Who blew and were blown by those human seraphim, the sailors, caresses of Atlantic and Caribbean love. Who bawled in the morning, in the evenings, in rose gardens and the grass of public parks and cemeteries, scattering their semen freely to whomever come who may. Who hiccuped endlessly, trying to giggle, but wound up with a sob behind a partition in a Turkish bath when the blonde and naked angel came to pierce them with a sword. who lost their love boys to the three old shrews of fate, the one-eyed shrew of the heterosexual dollar, the one-eyed shrew that wakes out of the womb, and the one-eyed shrew that does nothing but sit on her ass and sniff the intellectual golden threads of the craftsman's loom, who copulated, ecstatic, and insatiate with a bottle of beer, a sweetheart, a package of cigarettes, a candle, and fell off the bed, and continued along the floor and down the hall, and ended fainting on the wall with a vision of ultimate and cunt and cum, eluding the last jism of consciousness. Who sweetened the snatches of a million girls trembling in the sunset, and were red-eyed in the morning, but prepared to sweeten the snatch of the sunrise, flashing buttocks under barns, naked in the lake. Who went out whoring through Colorado in myriad stolen night cars. Neil Cassidy, secret hero of these poems, coxman and Adonis of Denver, joy to the memory of his innumerable lays of girls in empty lots and diner backyards, movie houses, rickety rows, on mountaintops, in caves, or with gaunt waitresses, in familiar roadside petticoat upliftings, and especially secret gas station solipsisms of Johns and hometown alleys too. Who faded out in vast sordid movies, were shifted in dreams, woke on a sudden Manhattan, picked themselves up out of basements hung over with heartless tokay and horrors of Third Avenue unemployment lines and iron dreams, who walked all night with their shoes full of blood on the snowbank docks, waiting for a door in the East River to open to a room full of steam, heat, and opium, who created great suicidal dramas on the apartment cliff banks of the Hudson under the wartime blue floodlight of the moon, and their heads shall be crowned forever in oblivion. Who ate the lamb stew of the imagination, or digested the crab at the muddy bottom of the rivers of Bowery, who wept at the romance of the streets with their pushcarts full of onions and bad music, who sat in boxes breathing in the darkness under the bridge, and rose up to build harpsichords in their lofts. Who coughed on the 6th floor of Harlem, crowned with flame under the tubercular sky, surrounded by orange crates of theology, who scribbled all night, rocking and rolling over lofty incantations, which in the yellow morning were stanzas of gibberish, who cooked rotten animals, lung, heart, feet, tail, borscht, and tortillas, dreaming of the pure vegetable kingdom, who threw their watches off the roof to cast their ballots for eternity outside of time, and alarm clocks fell on their heads every day for the next decade, who cut their wrists three times successively, unsuccessfully, gave up and were forced to open antique stores where they thought they were growing old, and cried, who were burned alive in their innocent flannel suits on Madison Avenue amid blasts of leaden verse and the tanked-up clatter of the iron regiments of fashion and the nitroglycerin shrieks of the fairies of advertising and the mustard gas of sinister, intelligent editors, and were run down by the drunken taxi cabs of absolute reality. Who jumped off the Brooklyn Bridge. This actually happened, and walked away unknown and forgotten into the ghostly haze of Chinatown soup alleyways and fire trucks, not even one free beer. Who sang out of their windows in despair, fell out of the subway window, jumped in the filthy Passaic, leaped on Negroes, cried all over the street, danced on broken wine glasses, smashed phonograph records of nostalgic European 1930s German jazz, finished the whiskey and threw up groaning into the bloody toilet, moans in their ears and the blast of colossal steam whistles. Who barreled down the highways of the past, journeying to each other's hot rod Golgotha jail solitude watch or Birmingham jazz incarnation. Who drove cross country 72 hours to find out if I had a vision, or you had a vision, or he had a vision to dream about eternity. Who journeyed to Denver, who died in Denver, who came back to Denver and waited in vain, who watched over Denver and brooded and longed in Denver and finally went away to find out the time, and now Denver is lonesome for her heroes. Who fell on their knees, who fell on their knees in hopeless cathedrals, praying for each other's salvation and life and breasts until the soul illuminated its hair for a second. Who crashed through their minds in jail, waiting for impossible criminals with golden heads and the charm of reality in their hearts, who sang sweet blues to Alcatraz. Who retired to Mexico, to cultivate a habit, or Rocky Mount to tender Buddha, or Tangiers to boys, or Southern Pacific to the black locomotive, or Harvard to Narcissus to Woodlawn to the daisy chain, or Brave, who demanded sanity trials accusing the radio of hypnotism and were left with their insanity and their hands and a hung jury, who threw potato salad at CCNY lecturers on Dadaism and subsequently presented themselves on the granite steps of the madhouse with shaven heads and harlequin speech of suicide demanding instantaneous lobotomy, and who were given instead the concrete boy of insulin, metrazole, electricity, hydrotherapy, psychotherapy, occupational therapy, ping pong, and amnesia. And who in humorless protest overturned only one symbolic ping pong table, resting briefly in catatonia. Returning years later, truly bald except for a wig of blood and tears and fingers to the visible madman doom of the wards of the madhouses of the East. Pilgrim states, Rocklands, and Greystones, speeded halls, bickering with the echoes of the soul, rocking and rolling in the midnight solitude bench, dolmen realm of love, dream of life and nightmare, bodies turned to stone as heaven is the moon. With mother finally and the last fantastic book flung out of the tenement window, and the last door closed at 4 a.m., and the last telephone slammed at the wall in reply, and the last furnished room emptied down to the last piece of mental furniture, a yellow paper rose twisted on a wire hanger in the closet, and even that imaginary, nothing but a hopeful little bit of hallucination. Oh, Carl. Oh, Carl. While you are not safe, I am not safe. And now you're really in the total animal soup of time. And who therefore ran through the icy streets, obsessed with the sudden flash of the alchemy of the use of the ellipse, the catalog, the meter, and the vibrating plane. Who dreamt and made incarnate gaps in time and space through images juxtaposed, and trapped the archangel of the soul between two visual images, and joined the elemental verbs, and set the noun and dash of consciousness together, jumping with sensation of Pater omnipotens aeterne Deus. To recreate the syntax and measure of poor human prose, and stand before you speechless and intelligent and shaking with shame, rejected yet confessing out the soul, to conform to the rhythm of thought in his naked and endless head. The madman bum an angel beat in time, unknown, yet putting down here what might be left to say in time come after death. And rose reincarnate in the ghostly clothes of jazz, in the gold horn shadow of the band, and blew the suffering of America's naked mind for love into an Eli, lama, lama, sabachthani saxophone cry that shivered the cities down to the last radio. With the absolute heart of the poem of life butchered out of their own bodies, good to eat 1,000 years. Moloch, solitude, filth, ugliness, ash cans and unobtainable dollars, children screaming under the stairways, boys sobbing in armies, old men weeping in the parks. Moloch, nightmare of Moloch, Moloch the loveless, mental Moloch, Moloch the heavy judger of men. Moloch the incomprehensible prison, Moloch the crossbone cell, crossbone soulless jailhouse and congress of sorrows. Moloch, whose buildings are judgment. Moloch, the vast stone of war. Moloch, the stunned governments. Moloch, whose mind is pure machinery. Moloch, whose blood is running money. Moloch, whose fingers are 10 armies. Moloch, whose breast is a cannibal dynamo. Moloch, whose ear is a shrieking tomb. Moloch, whose eyes are 1,000 blind windows. Moloch, whose skyscrapers stand in the streets like endless Jehovah's. Moloch, whose factories dream and croak in the fog. Moloch, whose smokestacks and antennae crown the cities. Moloch, whose love is endless oil and stone. Moloch, whose soul is electricity and banks. Moloch, whose poverty is the specter of genius. Moloch, whose fate is a cloud of sexless hydrogen. Moloch, whose name is the mind. Moloch, in whom I sit lonely. Moloch, in whom I dream angels. Crazy in Moloch, cocksucker in Moloch, black love and manless in Moloch. Moloch, who entered my soul early. Moloch, in whom I am a consciousness without a body. Moloch, who frightened me out of my natural ecstasy. Moloch, whom I abandoned. Wake up in Moloch! Light streaming out of the sky. Moloch, robot apartments, invisible suburbs, skeleton treasuries, blind capitals, demonic industries, spectral nations, invincible madhouses, granite cocks, monstrous bombs. They broke their backs, lifting Moloch to heaven. Pavements, trees, radios, tons, lifting the city to heaven, which exists and is everywhere about us. Visions, omens, hallucinations, miracles, ecstasies, gone down the American River. Dreams, adorations, illuminations, religions, the whole boatload of sensitive bullshit. Breakthroughs over the rivers, cliffs and crucifixions gone down the flood. Highs, epiphanies, despairs, 10 years animal screams musings and suicides, minds, new loves, mad generation, down on the rocks of time. Real holy laughter in the river, they saw it all. The wild eyes, the holy yells, they bade farewell. They jumped off the roof to solitude, waving, carrying flowers, down to the river and into the street. Carl Solomon, I'm with you in Rockland, where you're madder than I am. I'm with you in Rockland, where you must feel very strange. I'm with you in Rockland, where you imitate the shade of my mother. I'm with you in Rockland, where you murdered your 12 secretaries. I'm with you in Rockland, where you laugh at this invisible humor. I'm with you in Rockland, where we are great writers on the same dreadful typewriter. I'm with you in Rockland, where your condition has become serious and is reported on the radio. I'm with you in Rockland, where the faculties of the skull no longer admit the worms of the senses. I'm with you in Rockland, where you drink the tea of the breasts of the spinsters of Utica. I'm with you in Rockland, where you pun on the bodies of your nurses, the harpies of the Bronx. I'm with you in Rockland, where you scream in a straitjacket that you're losing the game of the actual ping-pong of the abyss. I'm with you in Rockland, where you bang on the catatonic piano. The soul is innocent. The soul is innocent and immortal. It should never die ungodly in an armed madhouse. I'm with you in Rockland, where 50 more shots will never return your soul to its body again from its pilgrimage to a cross in the void. I'm with you in Rockland, where you accuse your doctors of insanity and plot the Hebrew socialist revolution against the fascist national Golgotha. I'm with you in Rockland, where you will split the heavens of Long Island, and resurrect your living human Jesus from the superhuman tomb. I'm with you in Rockland, where there are 25,000 mad comrades singing the final stanzas of the Internationale. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you in Rockland, where we hug and kiss the United States under our bed sheets, the United States that coughs all night and won't let us sleep. I'm with you in Rockland, where we wake up electrified out of the coma by our own souls' airplanes roaring over the yourself. Imaginary walls collapse. Skinny legions run outside. Oh, starry-spangled shock of mercy. The eternal war is here. Oh, victory. Forget your underwear. We're free. I'm with you. I'm with you in Rockland. In my dreams. In my dreams, you walk dripping from a sea journey on the highway across America to the door of my cottage in the western night.